He missed it. All right, so we should be live in theory. Usually I am live much earlier than what this blasted thing says. I can even see me singing, which was long before the even go live option was there. My God, I hate this system. But that aside, I hope all of you guys are doing well. Don't forget to check me out at twitter.com/Laura Reloaded, twitch.tv/Laura Reloaded. I should, in theory, be doing a game tonight of some sort. That's going to be me hanging out, though. It's not going to be me entertaining. It's just going to be me talking and whatever. So if you want more laid back, then definitely that is going to be Yosin. We got the Al Wei Fu in the house. We got Andre Niemond. Andre, have not seen you in a while, buddy. Maybe I saw you last time. If I didn't, what's going on? Hope you're doing well. Hope things are going good for you, good Sir Bird of Prey. 5 up in the hizzy, of course, as always. And Icon Bearer, we can actually now get started because Icon Bearer is actually here. That's always a positive. So let's go ahead and break this stuff down. So apparently, Lower Decks, Star Trek Lower Decks, the cartoon is going to be canon, and from my understanding, it is supposed to be either after or during the Next Generation, and a love letter for a love letter to the Next Generation. Lower Decks is the most promising of the new treks. Bird of Prey helping out the channel, giving $2 for helping out the channel. Again, I really appreciate it. You know, here's my concern with that. A cartoon that has, I think it's one of the writers from Rick and Morty, is going to be canon. That's concerning to me. Very concerning. Icon Bearer has allowed us to begin, so that's really good. JJMFDL, could you do a series on Stargate Infinity, the animated series that seems completely forgotten? I have to do Stargate first. But I'm not against it if the Stargate series goes well. It takes 1 year. It takes place 1 year after Nemesis. 1 year after Nemesis. See, I haven't gotten any information concretely on what it's about or when it's about, beyond the writers and creators saying that's a love letter to the Next Generation, that it's supposed to be happening consistent with the Next Generation, and that's what we need to tie it with. So if I'm off there, or there's somewhere that, or there's more information, I'd love to know. And if you could try sharing it, you may not be able to share it in the chat, but you can also send it to james@lorereloaded.com. And hopefully I can take a look at it, maybe even read it live. Love letter from an abusive ex. Some could argue that. Their definition of canon is very troubling. Of that, I would definitively agree, depending on who's going to be writing it. You know, I guess here's the thing. And it goes back to that quote that a lot of people like to use, and fruit from and I forget the exact, but fruit from a poison tree won't yield much. And unfortunately, I feel like Star Trek Discovery and all the people behind it are still running the show across all of the different series that are coming up. And I feel like that is a poisoned tree. That said, that could possibly be unfair. Because if you look at Picard and what we have on Picard, because we don't have a lot on Lower Decks, but if you look at Picard, they may actually be learning their lesson to a degree. John Heslop, do you like Star Trek? You know, here's the thing. And I got to be honest. So everybody, I think John Heslop has really called me out here. I, for the past over a year now, have literally dedicated my life to knowing everything that is Star Trek. I have created well over a month's worth. If you were to watch all of my videos, one after the other, it would be a month to get through them. Star Trek alone, not looking at anything else. Entire series dedicated to either Star Trek or the Dominion or the Borg or things like that. I have went completely out of my way to be as knowledgeable about it as I can. I have watched every series more than any person. I know more than most writers who wrote for the series. That said, you know, I have made content that well over 17 million people have viewed, and my watch time in minutes of 108.7 million. And I absolutely can't stand Star Trek. I don't like it at all. I did all of this for that long because I literally hate Star Trek. And I'm so glad that I was able to answer that for you, John Heslop. Going on, JJMFDL, they are taking the Warhammer 40k method to canon, and that it's all canon. It didn't always used to be that way. Maybe they're just throwing it all in there. But I don't know, because I think that some of the stuff that they're doing... So, Star Trek, historically, has always just said, you know what, we want to make as much money as possible, but we don't want stuff to muddy the timeline. We want what we say to be canon. So what we're going to do is we're going to allow anyone to buy a license. You can buy as long as you have tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of money, you can buy our license, and just whatever. But the only thing that's canon is what happens on screen, with the exception of the animated series. And now I would agree that they're starting to be a lot more inclusive, but they're still giving licenses that aren't considered canon necessarily. Jaffa Cree. Who's Jaffa Cree? Hello, Lore Reloaded. How are you doing? What's up, German Trekkie? German Trekkie had a really fun live stream yesterday, I believe, or day before. Hey, Laura, I just saw you were live. I hope that you were excited for the Picard series. I'm cautiously optimistic. Andrew Maddox helping out the channel. Again, it's how I continue to pay the bills. I'll accept lower decks if CBS is careful with it. That's fair. By the way, Heslop, if you're watching or not, I don't know if you were trolling, but I get that a lot, so that's why I'm kind of the response way I am. It wasn't necessarily personal. I do, in fact, like Star Trek. That's why I've dedicated an entire channel and 1 year of my life to it. So, yeah. And that's something that constantly comes up because it's hard for some people, and really, it's because of our culture, and because our culture is so tribal. You're either Democrat, Republican, anti-Trump, pro-Trump. I don't know. You love the European Union, hate it. You like Star Trek, or you don't. You can be very critical of something and you can be very critical of something but still enjoy it. I, in fact, get more enjoyment when I break stuff down personally myself. And, you know, if that's not your bag, it's not your bag, you know? Someone said, hi, Mom, to me. Bradders the mod is not only one of my children, but also thinks that I'm female. I have failed as a parent in teaching them things. Alway Fu, do you agree that as long as Star Trek Lower Decks is a story on an Akira class, that you accept it as canon? If it's a story on an Akira class, first off, I'll get really pissed off because they're supposed to be the non-important ships, but then I'll get over that, and I will dedicate like an entire day, 2 videos each, just to that show if it was Akira. Absolutely. I hope all of them are going to be good. See, that's the thing where, that's the thing that really frustrates me. Not frustrates me, but that's the dichotomy there, let's say. I want all of them to be good. I'm just pessimistic about some of the things I see. And because of the drastic changes that they're doing on some of them, I don't see how they could. But I want every Star Trek episode, every Star Trek series they make to be excellent. One of the reasons I think that I don't do as well as I could in both views and subscribers is because I don't cling to one side or the other, where it's absolutely great, or it's all going to be awful. I'm honest about it, but I do want it to be good. I really do. Have I seen Anson Mount's tweet on Trump? No. Now, the next question. Do I care what Anson Mount thinks about Trump? No. I do care how well he acts on screen, and that's about the extent of my interest in Anson Trump and Anson Mount. Sure, he's a nice guy. I'm sure that me and him could go have coffee and have fun talking about other stuff. But the only reason that I care about Anson Mount is how well that he can do when it comes to showing up on screen. Just like the majority of people who watch my stuff want to be entertained and learn stuff about Star Trek. They really don't care my opinions on other things. I'm assuming, based on the fact that he's with Star Trek Discovery, it was not a positive tweet. JJFMFDL, in my opinion, unless you are not critical of your favorite franchises, not to the point of toxicity and harassment, you aren't really taking the series to heart. Yes and no. I think there are some series that you can just sit back and just turn your mind off to. I don't think you're as... what would the word be that I'm looking for? I don't think you're as invested in it, you know? So, I don't know. Anson Trump is cool too. Did I say Anson Trump? I probably did because I say stupid stuff like that. So, Laura, what do you think about what happened to Stargate Atlantis and Universe? Both were awesome shows like the original SG-1. Love the constant Star Trek references. So, what do I think happened? So, what do I think about what happened to? What happened to them? Where's it going? I hate when actors and musicians and athletes talk about politics. Their job is to entertain. I wish they keep their politics to themselves. See, I'm on the fence, Jace Outdoors, because I'm like that. If you go on my Twitter, I don't exactly hide how I feel about things, though I'm beginning to heavily question that. I might take an Eckhart's Ladder approach to things. If you want to give your opinion, then I think that anyone should be able to. Anyone who wants to give their opinion should be able to. And if they want to do it publicly, I think they should be able to as well. I just don't think that it matters what they've done or who they are specifically. The fact that he plays a really good Star Trek captain doesn't make his opinion any better or worse than mine. The fact that Lorca's character is he extremely hates Trump. That really doesn't matter. And, I don't think it's wrong for me to say I don't care what he thinks when it comes to politics. He seems like a nice guy. He seems cool, and he's a great actor, which is all I really want from him. I don't think that's unrealistic either. We need to keep RL stuff out of Trek unless it's established canon for the universe. Can you give me some examples of what you're talking about, Orataka Tinga? I'd be curious, because I think Trek has a unique place in that it does include real life stuff, but I'd be curious what you specifically mean, because depending, we may or may not agree on that. Actors are humans with opinions just like the rest of us. I completely agree. Here's an example. I cannot stand the character of Wesley Crusher, nor can I stand his actor. I don't agree with anything his actor does, and I think he is one of the biggest jerks you can find on the internet. That said, my disdain for Wesley Crusher is separate from my disdain for Wesley Crusher's actor. And I think that I think to a degree it should be separated like that, Anson Mount is a wonderful actor. He does exceptionally well. And I think that should be said, and that generally what he believes shouldn't impact how he is on screen or what I say about him on screen. Now, I am sure that anybody who wants to do homework can go back even 6 months and find me saying something contradictory to that. And my opinions are always shifting, but that's where I'm at right now. Did you know if you go on Twitter and say "Shut up, Wesley" to the actor, he will block you? Typos meant in Atlantis got canned in Universe when it was starting to get good. I too hated Wesley. Yeah, people hate hitting likes. They can't stand it. Here's the so Orataka Tinga says, I mean our world's politics or drama. I think that it would be appropriate for Star Trek, even today's Star Trek, to actually address those things. And in fact, I am having a video coming out. I'm hoping this week, probably not. Sid Alpha's going to be in it, voice acting, and then a couple other voice actors, where I rewrite a scene to make it more in line with Nostalgia Trek when it comes to addressing real-world issues. Because Trek has consistently done that. It's just the spirit of the way they do it, right? Whether I agree or disagree with their opinion is irrelevant. How they do it matters more to me than if they do it, in my opinion. Simply because our world, in my opinion, is too tribal. It's too divided. And it's only going to get more that way if we continue to attack each other, regardless of the format. You know? People have to stop being sensitive. So, anyway. Woo, I caught some part of one of Laura's streams live for a change. Well, welcome, Inareth. The Volcrox exists. Apparently I didn't ask German Trekkie something, so yeah. I liked Wesley more during later seasons. I wasn't a fan during the early seasons. He is always a Mary Sue, regardless. And it's not necessary, some of it's the acting, but it's not necessarily to the acting overall. It's just the writing of the character. They make him Space Jesus, and I'm not completely sure why. I saw the first episode of Legacy. It was okay. I was hoping to see the SG-1 make cameos for the trips to the past. Well, that could be. Division leads to death, and death leads to the dark side of the Force. Okay. But yeah, it'll be the scene where Lorca is trying to take over the Emperor's ship. So it'll be interesting. You know, the problem is, and it goes back to the way we are right now. Even if they addressed it in a way that they did back in the day, back in Nostalgia Trek, you know, back during TNG or DS9, everyone would just jump on it because it doesn't matter what side you're on. We are so into outrage culture. Wolfwood, I got to go, unfortunately. Hope to catch you again soon, Laura. Talk to you later, Wolfwood. Thanks for dropping by. We are so into outrage culture that it doesn't matter if it's done in a respectful or well-done way. Everyone is expecting everyone else to get pissed off unreasonably, so they get pissed off unreasonably. You know? Justice Ag, Cisco is Space Jesus. Yeah, but he wasn't Space Jesus in the way that Wesley was Space Jesus. And his arc took 7 seasons versus Wesley's like less than 3 episodes. Wesley is dumped in too much. He was actually a good character when taken as a whole. His arc as an evolved human, explains his Mary Sue-ness. No, Mary Sue by its very definition can't be explained. It's someone, he's better than an android, he's better than the chief engineer, he's better than the bridge crew of the Enterprise, the Enterprise, the capital ship, the main ship of the Federation, the pride and joy of Starfleet, the officers on the bridge of it, he's better than they are. He can set up shields that people can't get past, including but not limited to the chief security officer. He is chosen by the travelers of I forget, Space Jesusness, because he's so darn special. Yeah, people hate hitting that like button. If you're watching this, there are 72 people watching. We either need 72 likes or an amalgamation of 72 of dislikes and likes. And today only, you, good friends, you can hit that like button for absolutely free. Going back to Star Trek Discovery, the Terran Empire Empress vessel was a ripoff from Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda with using a star a la the Magog world ship. Maybe, but it's the same. You're borrowing from different. You're borrowing from material from the same person, so I don't get upset. But let's talk about that for a second too. I think that's getting ridiculous. Okay, and this isn't specifically to you, Sloan. This is speaking overall, so don't take this personally. I think this is getting absolutely ridiculous. I'm still rooting for you to watch the entire DS9 series. Thanks, Trekkin. I hope one day that I can watch all of DS9. I haven't finished it. I barely got halfway through season 1, but I'm hoping one day I can just finish the entire DS9. As you guys know, I don't watch the entire series when it comes to Trek. I'm just not interested. So thanks, I appreciate that. Let's go back to Star Trek Discovery real quick. A lot of people like to say, "Oh, it's stolen X, Y, and Z." And it's stolen all of this stuff. And that is just, and again, this isn't to you, Commander Sloan. This is more other comments I've seen. It is getting ridiculous, in my opinion. I understand that it starts out with the tardigrade thing. They stole the tardigrades. It has some interesting points to it. I don't know which side I'm on convinced of that, if I'm being honest. I know people hate that because I'm supposed to hate Discovery, but I'm not sure whose side I'm on that. There's some things to that. But then people are like, well, it also stole from Star Wars. Oh, okay, it stole from Star Wars. What did it steal from Star Wars? Well, it stole the fighters, that they have fighters. It stole the warp effect. It stole... And I'm just... And then someone else was like, well, it stole from Stargate. These are comments I get. How did it steal from Stargate? Well, they did... they went down to the planet and Stargate did this. Are you screwing with me? I mean, it stole from Iron Man was one. And I hope the person who's here who commented that. It's like they stole Iron Man because they had the suit. You're telling me no one wore an iron suit or a suit of metal before an Iron Man did it? You're telling me that starfighters weren't a thing in Trek beforehand and starfighters weren't a thing before Star Wars? It's getting a little silly, in my opinion. Now, again, that's not to you, Sloan, necessarily, but people... There's no new concepts, Eximico helping out the channel again, guys. It's through super chats and stuff like that not only helps the channel, it keeps the lights on. It makes it so I can actually do these chats with you, which as you guys seem to love. Honest theory is that Gene Roddenberry intended Wesley to be a Valentine to all of the kids who grew up watching the original series and wanted to be there on the ship with the crew, but it was very poorly done. I've never heard that, Zimako. Is that based on your own opinion, or is there like a citation for it? It doesn't matter which. But be curious. So Zimako, you don't have to do another super chat. Just do @LoreReloaded, so your comment will pop up and it'll actually have a different color for me. And let me know if there's a citation for that, or if that was your own just theory, because that's interesting. I could see that. Lore Reloaded, have you talked about how the Kelvin timeline is destined to fall into chaos before the launch of the Enterprise D and can be proved by one frame of screen? No, I haven't, Schneeflock. That's actually coming next week. I'm not sure if you're being sarcastic or not, because if there's something to that, that would be interesting. Tricorder equals sonic screwdriver. Starship. Yeah, I mean, the tricorder, the sonic screwdriver did effectively everything the tricorder did, or reverse. Starship travels through time and space. It immediately used one forward in time. Doctor Who stole from the janitor's closet. Yeah, again, I'm not a huge fan of Discovery, and I do think that they were I do think that they may have borrowed quite a bit. And maybe the tardigrade thing they outright stole and deserve to pay money if that's true. But just because it's something in Discovery doesn't mean they stole it. Again, the Iron Man suit was, and I'm sorry if that was you, Sloan, or someone else who's on there, ridiculous. Because that's... Let's hate something for what... Let's dislike something for reasonable reasons for it to be disliked. That is, I don't want to get political. I'm not, but one of the I'll just say this: if you go against somebody, if you hate somebody, then utilize the reasonable reasons to not like them and to not vote for them. If you come up with these unreasonable arguments, people are just going to dismiss it. German Trekkie, I am going to get you to do some voice acting. Don't worry, buddy. Another question, Lore Reloaded. Is Trek good for movies? I don't think so. I don't think it translates all that well. Maybe the original series was, and DS9 could be. Maybe Voyager. I don't think the next... Let me rephrase that. I don't think the Next Generation was good for movies. Just because what the Next Generation was based off of. Let's all agree the Warp 10 episode of Voyager is non-canon threshold. Resolute Jorm, his son, was quoted saying Wesley was a stand-in for young fans. Okay. Well, I mean, All right. I never really thought of that out of it that way. I never knew that. So maybe. Schneeflock, I am dead serious about how the TNG is not going to happen. The Moon of Praxis can be seen as already having exploded early, and due to dialogue, we know that the Kittimer chords will not be created. Extrapolation from there. Schneeflock, can you do me a favor? You can put it here, or if you can expand on that here, or if you'd like, send it to me at james@lorereload.com. That's really interesting to me. I would do a lore theory on that if I knew more about it. I'll try to look into it, but if you can do more, I think that'd be interesting. They forget the tech pioneered by Trek. You know, I'll say this. Yes, I think a lot of things came from. I think a lot of things came from Trek. But you know, the things happened before Trek even brought it up. Trek just popularized it. I think a lot of people watched the original series and the Next Generation and then wanted to make technology like that when they became scientists. I don't think they were the first to do it. I think they popularized it. Trek Canon says, really, Intereths is very disappointing. Are you referring to movies with the Next Generation? The Next Generation was cerebral. The Next Generation was utopian. The Next Generation was looking to take that next step and to be more than what you are. The movies, the TNG movies, had to turn the Trek cast, these cerebral, laid-back explorers, into action figures. And I don't think that that was a good translation because of who the TNG personnel, people, were written to be. First Contact is considered by a lot to be one of the best, if not the best, TNG movie. And it's good. I like it, don't get me wrong. I just don't think the cast is well suited for it. I don't think that the TNG people are warriors in that sense. I think that it's a bit of a backlash from who you see them in the Next Generation. And that's not me putting it down. That's just me giving an analysis. Like, do I look like a guy that would really be good in football right now or would be a good soldier in my current state? Doesn't mean I can't be that. It just means I'm not well suited for that right now, you know? Well, I'm going to leave you all, so remember, save Princess Lore from those horrible monsters above. Okay. Isn't the split from reality and... Well, see you later, Alwaifu. Thanks for stopping by. Isn't the split from reality and Star Trek? I know you like you guys write Trek, Treck. I can't tell if you're mocking me or not. Isn't the split from reality and Star Trek in the 1960s? Wouldn't that mean it is perfectly reasonable to utilize any fiction from before that? I don't understand what you're saying, Gruber. Joseph. If you can expand on that a little bit. JJMFDL, oh god, First Contact was Trek's attempt to be an action movie. It was one of many. Nemesis was an attempt to be an action movie. First Contact, Nemesis, Generations, arguably, I think, was meant to be an action movie. I think that's what movies are. Commander Sloan says, have a good weekend, Lore, and to your family. Well, you have a good weekend, too. Thanks for dropping by. Drone pilot could be possible. Thanks, Zune Gary. I'm glad you're there for me, buddy. Happy to finally join live, says Traven158. Love listening to discussion while painting my 40K arms. Hey, I'm here for you, Traven. That's all. That's the reason why I do this, is so that you can listen to something while you paint your armies of death and destruction. TNG shows just how dangerous living in the Galaxy Oasis is when you look at how hard they gave in to bullies to keep the illusion of galactic peace. You know, I heard Red Letter Media say something that I never really considered until they pointed it out. And now I think there is some truth for it. The original series, and even a lot of the Next Generation and Deep Space Nine, and especially Voyager, all they are, a lot of them, is horror stories. Massively big horror stories of things that can go wrong. Like in the original series, you can have all kinds of things like aliens who suck all the water out of you and turn you into salt. Or in TNG, where there are just pockets of space that you'll go into, no one will ever find you, and you'll die of suffocation or starvation. Uh, in um, in Deep Space Nine, I had an example in my mind, now it's gone. But in Deep Space Nine, there's all kinds of horrific things that can happen to you there too, like aliens that come in and want you to write your best poetry, but they kill you in the process, like fucking literature's vampires. Uh, and it's when you look at it, really, all of the series are just a collection of horror stories, for the most part. Insurrection was just bad. Insurrection was also an action movie. Sean Cody says nobody listens. Nobody listens to what, buddy? No one can hear you do bodily functions in space. No one listens. Nobody listens to Zathras. That's true. Though, to be fair, you need to tell us which Zathras. Was it Zathras, Zathras, or Zathras? Because sometimes it just depends on which one you're talking, who you're talking about. If Star Trek shares a history from before 1960, then any technology from sci-fi or other lit would be reasonable to have inspired by that literature, such as Iron Man. Sure, everything borrows from everything else. There's nothing new under the sun. David Gorman disagrees, but won't tell me what he disagrees with. Interesting. Nigilium from TNG. I missed that alien entity. He, she, or it would have been a great rival against Q. I'm not sure who Nigilium is. Y'all will have to expand that. I'm sure I've seen the episode, but that's an interesting thing too. If I can just complain about stuff, people will be like, they'll give a name or a species that occurs in one episode, and then expect me to instantly, like, how do you not know? Not that you did this, Sloan, but people will be like, how do you not know X? I thought you were supposed to be a Star Trek aficionado. Oh my God. There's 50 years worth of it, literal years of content. And that's only looking at what's on screen. I'm now laughing my A off about Zathras. Well, it's true. I mean, I don't know why you'd laugh at Zathras. Everyone laughs at Zathras. He's a beast of burden. Well, Zathras. Not Zathras or Zathras, but Zathras is definitely a beast of burden. Lore Reloaded, weird question. Do you think the big bad of serialized seasons of Trek could be a Lovecraft entity? I think they could write it well, yes. Can I send you a bridge design for a certain product? Yes, German. I thought I answered you. Yeah, we'll talk on Facebook. That's fine. I forgot the episode name. Just saw it recently. Oh, okay, Sloan. I mean, if you can give me more information, I may be able to remember it. But again, Nigilium doesn't, jump out at me. And I haven't been, I'm assuming it's TNG, you said. I haven't been looking at TNG as much. Yeah. How about them Knicks? Anyway, Lower Decks is going to be canon. I don't know how I feel about that. I guess we're just going to have to see. I wish they had some kind of, trailer. I wish we had more. Sorry, from the TNG episode Where Silence Has Leased, the Enterprise D goes into a pocket dimension. Oh, is that big face thing? I guess I could look it up and not be... Yeah, that's that face thing. And he experiments on the crew, and yet he goes after the African-American guy because he's racist. I remember that. Yeah, that's scary as hell, too. I mean, randomly, you have just immortals that just toy with you. Picard, even in the first episode of TNG, Picard meets the Q, who goes back to when apparently the Earth did eugenics in the most horrific way possible and wants to destroy all of humanity. I mean, the universe is nothing but scary as hell. People ask me, would I want to live in that universe, or where would I want to be in that? You know where I'd want to be in the Star Trek universe? Not just for the sex, but for the safety, is Risa. Nobody messes with Risa to my knowledge. I would want to go to Risa. I don't want to go anywhere else. I want all my needs met. And I just want to live and not die some horrific way. Lore Runner, not Lore Reloaded, I'm Lore Reloaded. Lore Runner, in one of his reviews, said something I thought was very... it was very not prophetic, but I think it was very distinct. He said Star Trek is good science fantasy, but you really wouldn't want to live there. And I agree. I mean, you have the Borg, the Vidians, all kinds of crazy stuff. I feel Eximico helping out the channel. I feel like the biggest reason the Federation, because so fanatically pacifist, was because of what Kirk saw in the Mirror Universe. They turned hard away from military mindset after that, I think. It's possible. I more think personally that they won and defeated their greatest enemies one way or the other, and then just became lazy. I don't want to say lazy. Content is, but that's not the word I'm looking for. But you guys get what I'm saying. They started resting on their laurels with no one to challenge them. They had no reason to continue to grow. So I think it's more that they fought and they fought and they fought and they finally won. And after they won, they forgot why it's important that they continue to fight. Or Takatinga, I noticed that Zathras had his name pronounced a little different, much the way Groot says I'm Groot differently to say different things. Sure, Zathras, and Zathras all have distinct and different ways they're said. And anyone should notice that. You know, Zathras and Zathras. Two totally different ways. I can see how they're kind of similar, but really you should know the difference, right? So when I'm talking about Zathras, you should know that I'm not referring to Zathras, really. Honestly, when I'm talking about him. DS9 was an exploration of self. I would agree with that to agree. Wasn't there a group of frigid idiots who played with Rysa's weather control with Worf's help? Yes, I agree that on Rysa, at one point, they had someone mess with the rain, the weather, because people were being stupid and they were getting too relaxed and stuff like that. However, that would be one thing I'd have to deal with. That would be a huge annoyance. Though, compared to Borg assimilation, Vidians taking my organs out while I'm still alive, sometimes still conscious, let's see, what else? Pockets where you can randomly disappear, all kinds of immortal beings that want you killed because they don't understand you. What the hell else? In DS9 recently, the most recent video I did, it's not out yet. If you're a patron or you're a member, you can see it early, and you should go see it. It's a really good one. It's coming out tomorrow, though, where we talk about how when inertial dampeners stop working, at least on Dominion ships, your body is flung against a bulkhead, breaking every bone in your body. That seems like a really pleasant experience. So, there's all kinds of things. So I get you. You're right. Someone did mess with the weather on Rysa, but that's nothing compared to what can happen. Ideas for your next April Fool's video. Do a serious breakdown of all Zathras without making it clear which one you're talking about. That could be fun. I think that was the Zathras from Babylon 5 or before, when Delen's mentor takes over as a host of the Great Machine on Epsilon 3, the planet B5 orbits. I think that was the Zathras. No, it was the other Zathras. Wasn't that Zathras? I don't know how you could get those confused. It's really, really easy. They become fat and happy, the two most dangerous things for a civilization. I would agree. Ketchup, the crew's turned into ketchup. That is true. That is true. I think we'll be ending it pretty shortly. What else you guys have, or would you like to talk about? This one's going to be a little quicker. I may do something later tonight. But I don't know. So you guys have anything else? 47 likes. We need 85 likes before I leave. Do it, people. What about Earth? Earth, you mean the place that was almost assimilated twice? The place where the Dominion attacked and successfully got to and hit Starfleet Command. The place where the well probe almost destroyed. The place where V'ger attacked. Yeah, it seems like the safest place in the universe. Earth is definitely where I'd want to be, for sure. What sauce do Vulcan crews turn into? I can't think of a great guacamole, or someone else says they turn into relish. Y'all are just destroyed. Yeah, I mean, Earth was almost destroyed. I just said it. They were almost destroyed by a well probe. They were almost destroyed by V'ger. They almost got assimilated, not once, but twice. The Dominion successfully attacked it. I mean, oh, and let's not forget, the highest ranking Starfleet officers were taken over by worms and were in control of Starfleet on the planet. Oh, and yeah, that's Utopia Federation and Starfleet. That's not even to begin talking about, like you said, the eugenics wars, or right before the Federation was brought, where they had cults that wanted to get rid of anything not human. Safest place is the Mars colony. Yeah, they always bypass the Mars colony. You may have something there. Safest place may be Mars colony. I wouldn't like to be in the Milky Way at all. I could agree with that. In Earth's defense, those are isolated incidents. There's 12 isolated incidences. When does it stop being an isolated incident? All right, so okay. Hey guys, I know Germany started 2 different world wars, but those are isolated incidents, okay? I mean, you know, hundreds of millions of people died, but it's just isolated. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, speaking of that joke about the European Union and Germany pissed off so people. There was a Reddit. I made people so mad. There was a Reddit post about it. I honestly think Reddit is where people go and they feel like they can complain to mom when they lose an argument or can't argue with that. Like I'll sit there and disagree with someone, or we'll go back and forth, or I'll get snarky, and it's like they run to Reddit and do a Reddit post. It's like, you know, Lore Reloaded did this or blah, blah, blah. Every time someone is just too sensitive, they will do a Reddit post about an argument I had with them. It's like, mom. Germany only started 1. Okay. Okay. Zakiriel, what was the joke? I inferred that Germany through the European Union did the same thing that Hitler wanted to. Oh my God. And the second was started because of an Austrian... Guys, World War I nor World War II would not have happened if Germany had backed off or decided not to go to war with people. That's just the simple truth. I get that technically Germany in World War I was not the first to declare war. But had Germany not gotten into it, it wouldn't have happened. German Trekkie, your joke was good. I had a laugh. Yeah, you know, I'm of the opinion, and like my video I did today has cost me so far. Hold on. My video that I've done today has cost me, wait for it, 27 subscribers. Probably more, because usually I'll get more subscribers in. So I'm gaining subscribers and losing. So I probably lost over 27 subscribers because of a video I did today. And here's the way I look at it. I think humor is a good way to challenge what we believe, and that because of how humor is basically offensive, it really makes you think on things. I also am a huge advocate of freedom of speech. And so I think that we should challenge each other with that. How did I like Pike? I thought Pike was good. I thought he was decent. Let's look at this, and then we'll probably end on this. In the Star Trek Into Darkness movie, when the crew heads to Kronos, we see an already fractured Praxis with no mining lights or sign of any structures. Okay, I'll have to look at that again. While in the original timeline, the moon detonated during the Excelsior's lifespan, and the loss of the vital dilithium mines prevented the Klingon war machine from being able to confront the Federation directly. In this timeline, it's outright stated that the Klingon war is inevitable and that they are actively trying to get ready rather than beginning Kittabor Accords and providing logistical and economic support to the Empire. I will rewatch it. I haven't read the other two... I'll rewatch it. I haven't read the other two because there were 2 more paragraphs, but I don't know. I'll have to take a look. Because that might be down to interpretation. Because if I remember correctly, it was the admiral who was saying that, and he was looking for war anyway. Saying Germany started World War I is dishonest. It started with a cluster F of mutual... You know, it's making so many of you guys angry that I'm tempted to do an entire video dedicated to how Germany started World War I, just to see how many of you guys get mad at me. The Western Front wouldn't have happened. The Eastern Front still would have happened with Germany. Also, Germany had to go to war based on their alliance with... No, they didn't have to go to... No, they don't. You don't have to go to war for stupid reasons. That's just my opinion. Hey, I'm not as well versed on geopolitics as I probably should be, but you shouldn't go to war for stupid reasons. But we're going to move that aside for a second. I think it's debatable if the Eastern Front would have happened either. I think it would have been, if it would, that would have made it regional. I don't know. That's a conversation for another time, probably. I mean, that's fine. Technically, I've already admitted technically Germany didn't start the war. I would agree with that. As for World War II, it was started by Nazis, mostly made up of Germans, and the Austrians are... Oh my God! All right. Are y'all ready to get really pissed off here? Because this is really going to make people mad. Here we go. Here we go. The Nazi Party was... There were Germans who were Nazis and in the Nazi Party. Technically, the entire military were Nazis. Now, the leadership, and a lot of the lower ones too, were evil people that got exactly what they deserved. But the Germans were Nazis, but not all Germans are evil, or were evil at that time. I know, that's horrible. People hate it when you say that. I'm going to lose another 150. This is it. Cancel lore reloaded. Hashtag cancel lore reloaded. That's it. I'm watching the comments is Godwin's Law in action. Watching the comments is Godwin's Law in action. You should watch Alternate History Hub. I do watch Alternate History Hub. In fact, they were someone I watched before I started Lore Reloaded. In fact, if you go back to the original videos, like some of my first videos, they were alternate gaming history and one real history. And part of that was because I had watched them. Every war in Europe over the last 150 years was Germany's fault. Okay. I did, Schneeflock. I even brought it up and discussed it. To say all German soldiers were Nazis is the same as to say all American are guns. No, Zungary, that is ridiculous. All American soldiers are we have multiple parties now. The Nazi Party was in control of Germany. So they were German soldiers under the Nazi regime. When the Allies fought German soldiers, what did they call them? Survey says they were fighting the Nazis. A German soldier was associated with a Nazi. That does not make the German soldier bad or Hitler. It just makes them a Nazi under the Nazi regime. A U.S. soldier who fights under the U.S. flag is it's even really hard to even put it because it was a one-party thing. But if the Republicans, well, I can't even get... I think I've made my point. Yes, Flames of Chaos, which is what I was trying to do. German soldiers in World War II were Nazi soldiers. They were under the Nazi regime. Now, they may have not been party members. That's something completely different. Y'all are gonna get me canceled. Why are we talking about this? Stream feels like someone set fire to the Reichstag. I don't know what that means. I probably shouldn't have said it out loud. Shall we move back to Trek? No, VX Gaming. Never. Never. Ever. Yeah, again, it's just a lot more nuanced. All right, guys. Anything we want to talk about Trek related before we end it here? Okay, well, I'll say this before we go back to the Nazis. Erwin Rommel openly criticized the Nazi part. Did he? That's interesting. I find history interesting. And Laura earned 1 dislike from Joseph. Was it from you, Joseph Petrick? Did I get 1 dislike from you? If I only got 1 dislike, I'll be surprised. I usually get more than that. Talk to me, Joseph. Why did you dislike me, buddy? Why? What's going on? 2 dislikes. I got 2 dislikes. Or talk, I have German ancestry. All my German family members despise Nazism because it was the worst of German culture. I can see that. Don't blame me for the political turn. I had to beam to another starship. Okay. All hail President Clark. That is very Trek. Come on, guys. Besides Joseph telling me why he specifically disliked my channel, what Trek related would you guys like to talk about? Do I want to live in the Stargate universe? I don't know enough about the Stargate universe. In theory, maybe? I don't know. I don't know enough about it, I'll be honest. What ships will the new show Lower Decks be on? I hope Akira, but I'm betting it'll be an Oberth. Maybe a Galactica. I mean, they're supposed to go around to different ships, aren't they? That's their whole thing, their whole shtick. Maybe. Are ballistic weapons used with starships at all? Yeah, they are. They're called torpedoes and quantum torpedoes and things like that. What do you think of a BSG-style Star Trek series? I think that'll probably be what Tarantino's movie is. We'll have to see. Can the Terran Empire beat the UFP in all-out war? Probably. Probably. How much of the hate for Discovery is because of the disrespect for canon? For instance, if the plot was set after the fall of Romulus with the same plot, just Romulan terrorists. I think that's a lot of where it comes from. I think here's what happened. Here's what happened with Discovery, in my opinion. I think, first off, we're in a culture of tribes, and I think that Discovery, the writers, the actors, on the background, all of them were pushing for... I would personally call it social justice warrior, because I consider social justice warrior to take what may or may not be reasonable concerns and do them to a toxic, from a toxic standpoint, and to not care about others' opinions or to want to try to reach the gulf. And I feel like they did that. I feel like they were pretty toxic. So you have that in the background. They say it's going to be canon. They said it as a prequel. They change most everything. Not most everything. They change a lot. And then they quite obviously don't care about canon. They just don't. And so all of that poisons the well. You have a large backlash. Now we're in a culture that's tribal, that's backlash, that's cancel culture. And so now it just all snowballs. And I think that's going to hurt. I think because they started out that way, it's going to hurt Picard. I think it's going to hurt Lower Decks. And if those are good, I think it's going to be unreasonable, but it's what's going to happen. An easier way to say that is to go Intereth's route and says disrespect for canon and for the audience. Yeah, sorry, Yosef, it was going really fast. You skipped my comment. It was not from me. I only hit like on your videos. It was just an observation. Sure. You know, here's the thing, though. I try to make my channel a conversation. I can get triggered. I can get enough hate where I start being snarky and just respond unreasonably. And I try to catch myself and apologize if that's happened. But if you don't like snowballs are racist, shut up, Intereth. If you don't like my if you don't like what I say and you're a regular and you disagree with me or you hit dislike, I'm not going to get upset of that. It is pretty hard to hurt my feelings. Picard is the embodiment of Captain Dunsel. I don't know who Captain Dunsel is. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, though. That, couldn't do it without you guys. Dunsel was a term used by midshipmen in the 23rd century to describe a part which served no useful purpose. I disagree. I think Picard was more than that. But what I was saying was, if you disagree with me, that's fine. It's just all about how you do it. Like if you're like, man, I thought you were smarter than that, or I thought more of you. Man, that is a good way for me to stop giving Fs about anything you have to, regardless of how long you've been with the channel. I just told you guys what triggered me. That was a wise move on my side. The thing I would like for them to have added was Ambassador Worf to come in flying in his flagship. They still may. You never know. They may not be ideologically, but otherwise, yes. It is hard to find a good bagel in Berlin. Well, I mean, do they even have bagels in Berlin? Oh, you mean German France, which has been taken over by Germany. Because if you don't think Germany doesn't own France, woo! I got a bridge I want to sell you. Should we consider Discovery a different quantum reality? The different ones consider themselves to be the prime universe. If you want to, but I mean, for me, I do what is actually canon and what has been considered canon, and that's historically by the IP holders. Here's a cheap token of my love for the channel. Well, I love you, Yosef. Dude, we're good. Even if you had hit the dislike, we're good. It didn't hurt my feelings, man. And if you need the money back, let me know. I mean, it's by every metric, it's canon because canon is what the IP holders have said, and that's the way it's always been. It's just apparently it's become an issue since Discovery. I don't dislike you. I think that you are incorrect in your overall summary of the world wars, says Jorge Warcrime. Well, Jorge, it's probably not the first time you've ever been wrong, buddy, so that's okay. You're allowed to be wrong on my channel. You've got an Eiffel Tower for sale. Oh, man. All right, guys. I think we are going to end it there. Always fun to joke with you guys. I can't wait for Twitter for someone to get upset with me and talk about how I shouldn't have made a joke about France or whatever the hell, or how calling German soldiers Nazis is horrible. But I'm going to be trying to do more of these. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next Lore Reloaded. But before that, Canon says Discovery is legit. It doesn't make sense. I agree, but Star Trek has never been good on continuity either. At all. Like, ever.